Welcome back. I'm Abhishek Patel. In this video, I am going to explain you how to construct a GET request, how to send it, and how to analyze the response of the GET request in the Postman tool. So before I start, just want to remind you that this video is the continuation of my previous video where I've explained all the essential features of Postman to do API testing and API automation. So I would suggest to watch that video before starting this video. That will be really helpful for you if you are a first time watcher. So let's get to the topic. So here I'm going to use the Open Weather Map API for the purpose of this video. So in my previous video I mentioned that most of the API has some sort of authorization. So even Open Weather Map API has authorization. So first let's get to the URL openweathermap.org/API. I will put this link in the description of this video. And here I want to access URI, okay, the current weather data. Here click on the API documentation. So these are the rules or information about how to utilize the API to get the data that you desire. Okay. So call the current weather data for one location by city name. So this is the URL to get the weather of the current city name. So as you can see, the query parameter is city name. So you have to pass the city name here, and the app ID, which is the authorization to access this API. So if you are a first time user, make sure you sign up and sign in. And once you sign in, here click on your first name and here my API keys, and you will be served with the default API key. So this is required to access the data of the weather. So copy this and let me put this here because I'm going to require it to use it. Again, go back and copy this URI, go back to your Postman, and now here, as we have discussed in my previous video, first we need to create the collection, give appropriate name like weather API. Next step is to create the folder, add a folder, give a name, get requests. Within the folder you can add the request, add request, and the type of request, that is get request, get weather info. You can provide the description of this get API and also specify the folder where you want to put this API. Save get request. As you can see, I have created the skeleton of the get weather API info request. Now to access the weather of any city, I have to copy this URI and paste it here. Okay, and it has the couple of query parameters. So anything after the question mark in a URL is called as query parameter. So here we have a couple of query parameters. So if you want to add further more query parameters, you have to add and symbol and the name of query, that is test, and the value. Okay, so it's a format of key and value. If you further want to add more parameter, same follow that structure, that is and key equal to value. So based on your API, you are going to provide the parameters. Okay, let's remove this now, and here let's provide the value of the parameters. City name I am going to provide Indianapolis, and the app ID is the key. Okay, control copy and control V. Okay, so we have all the information right now to get the information of weather of the city Indianapolis, the place where I live, and send. As you can see, we have got the response. Here is the response body, and this is the pretty format of JSON type. You can change the type of response like text, XML. Most of the time you are going to work with the JSON. You can view the response in a raw format, in a preview, or in a prettify format. So Postman has this feature to prettify the JSON. That's great. Also, we can see the status of the response. That's 200. That is the response worked fine. We have this time taken. Here we have a detailed information about DNS lookup, TCP handshake, the time it took to get the response, and the size of the response that was delivered. Okay. So let's get the familiarized with all the tabs of the request. So here we have this authorization tab. So as I said earlier that this API uses the API key of authorization. So either you can pass the authorization in the URL, or you can change it here and select the type of authorization this request is using. In our case it is API key, so I'm going to click on API key, and you can pass the value, copy and paste here, app ID, right? App ID is key and the value is this one. Okay, and from URL I'm going to remove it. And now when I send this, it will work fine. Okay, change the API key and we'll see the error. Make it default and it will work fine. Okay, so this is how you can use the authorization tab. You can separate the authorization from URL and put it inside the authorization tab. Okay, headers, these are the pre-populated headers. That means the GET request that you are sending is telling the server that what is the type of the client, or how client is going to process the response and all other information. So these are the default key value field that got populated. And we have body, GET request do not require any body, so it's empty. Pre-request script, you can write a pre-request here. For example, console.log hello world. This could be anything. This could be a script to clear the cache or any memory or like that. Test. Here we can write the validation on the response body that the code was 200 or not. You can write it from the pre-available snippets. We will explore this in detail in the further videos, so don't worry about it right now. But here our main focus is on the GET request. Okay, send this and it works in the console. If you see that hello world got also printed here. Okay, we will see this prerequisite and test in further detail in the future videos, but for now, yeah, we are much focused on GET request. Okay, so what else? Okay, yeah, so as you can see, this value is sensitive value, and we don't want to put this like this, in a plain text, because if anyone get access to this value, then they can mimic you, and then they can do any sort of ugly thing with this API. So make sure you mask this value in a variable. So in my previous video, I have explained there are 3 ways to create the variable: at the collection level, at the global level, and environment. So for this video, I am going to create at the collection level. So click on this 3 ellipse dot and click on the edit, and here click on the variables tab and app ID, and provide the value of app ID. Okay, and click on the update. So we have created a variable at the collection level. Now to use the same variable, The format to use it, open close curly bracket, within there are two open and close curly bracket, and you can provide the name of the variable which contains the value of your API key and send again, and you see it worked. Okay. Other thing I want to show you is that like query parameter, we have the path parameter. So it is used to make your URL more readable. Okay, what I mean by that is, if you notice here in the URL, you have api.openweathermap.org/data/2.5 weather. So most of the values you can read it, but here you are not sure what this is. 2.5, this could be a API version, so you can convert it into the path parameter. Let me show you how you can do that. For the path parameter, you have to just write colon and say API version, and if you have noticed, it got populated under this path variable table, and here you can provide the value was 2.5. So now we have removed that hard-coded API version value and put it inside the path variable. Okay, so now our API looks clean, our URL looks clean. Now send, again the same response. If you change value, you will get an error. Okay, so these are the path parameter and query parameter. We have seen the authorization as well. You can pass the key value pair or the API key value inside the URL, or you can separate it up and put it in the authorization. We have seen how to create the variable at the collection level, and that's it for the GET request. Also, one more thing I want to show is this value that we are seeing is in a Kelvin. We can also explore the documentation, and we can get the response based on our desire. Okay, for example, okay, here it is. Example, I want this result in the matrix. Instead of standard, I want in matrix. So I'm going to add one more parameter, that is and matrix. Now this Kelvin will change into the degree. Yes, see, it got changed into degree. The temperature now is 4.4 degree, feels like minus 0.69, right? If you want it in Fahrenheit, you can change it, the units value, to send it, and if you notice, it got changed. Temperature is now in the Fahrenheit. Okay, you can even add furthermore parameters, key value, like for example for language, you can change the language based on the value that you provide for your lang parameter. Copy this, go back here, paste here, and here, let's say I want to get the response in Hindi, send, and you notice we got a response in Hindi as well. So you can utilize this response and show up in the front end of your application. So that's it in the this video. I hope you learned something new today in the GET request, how to construct, how to send, and how to analyze the response of the GET request in Postman. So with this, I am ending this video, and see you next time with another Postman video. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.